What's going on, everyone? I thought I would show everyone for the first time a picture of my board game room. I actually have it organized and neat for the first time in a while. Here's kind of a panoramic of everything. I currently have about 500 games, and we'll go through it quickly. Unfortunately, this room is split. I have kids and little kids, so I have a toy area on one side, which limits the amount of space I have for board games. We'll just go through them quickly. So there's Crossfire. I don't have the box, unfortunately. It's a really awesome set. So I just kind of hang it on the wall because it's so big. Down here in this little green shelf, I have some newer games. Notre Dame, Pie Face, Snorta, that's Carcassonne, and Catan, as well as some older ones. Like down here we have the 3M bookcase games, as well as some Avalon Hill games, and some other ones over here, including a Pog set. Up here, some larger games that don't quite fit in the shelving. So Roller Coaster, Lie Detector, Mr. Mouth are great examples of those. Touche, the box is a little damaged, and so forth. Knockout is a really fun game. Remember, I have kids, so a lot of these are kids' games. Lie Detector is really fun too. Up top, we have some smaller games. In the Dark is fun. It's essentially Connect Four, but you can't see what you're doing. Don't Go to Jail is a great game, so Snafu. Down here, we have some larger games. Advance to Boardwalk, Classic Guess Who, Stratego, the Turtles game. Shark Attack is a really fun game. Mousetrap is obviously a classic, and just some random games. Othello, a couple Canadian football games. On to the next shelf. Again, at the top, some larger ones. Crocodile Dentist, Grape Escape, 1, 2, 3 Hide and Seek, which are Home Free, sorry, which is a really fun game. Raise the Titanic is a good one too. Trudeau-mania is very uncommon. It's actually the only time I ever saw it was at an estate sale. Same with the Bermuda Triangle. I found them both at the same one. Squatter, and if you're into Australian farming games, it might be for you. In the middle here we have the Gigantics games. These were just basically playmat games that were really cheaply made for kids. I have a number of them, but they were all sort of pop culture stuff from the 90s. There's all the Nightmare expansions, and the Transformers game. Some newer ones here. Dragon Strike is really fun. Apples to Apples. And again, some larger ones here. Hardy Boys, Bambi, Lone Rangers. Are You Afraid of the Dark and Reboot. I've never actually seen those games again, so it's kind of cool to have them. This shelf has some oversized games, including the Milton Bradley Disney games, as well as Dinosaurs is in there. Dragon's Lair is a very uncommon game. I've not seen another one. Mine is in a little rough shape, but happy to have it in the collection. The Smurf game is actually really fun, and Hotels is a great game. Here I'm a big Lord of the Rings Hobbit collector, so I have a lot of board games to do with them. The Middle-earth role-playing game is actually very uncommon. Mine is unpunched. I haven't actually played it yet. The He-Man game is hard to find as well. Some Hunger Games board games. Tetris did not need to be a board game. Hands Down is really fun. Bedbugs is a big classic. Monster Mash is a good kids game. We actually had that as kids. We also had Pizza Party as kids, which is it's still a game that holds up today, being pretty fun. And down to the bottom row, some Uno games, Trouble, and some Munchkin games. At the top here, oversized stuff, so a Siege expansion, Domino Rally. Double Dare is a massive box and a really dumb game, in my opinion. Donut Disaster is really fun. Mine's missing a few pieces, but it still plays. Some older Ideal games like Challenge the Chief is up there. Baboon Ball is kind of a quirky little fun game as well. And then on to the next shelf here. Fluffy Dogs. You guys remember that franchise? I don't. Some more Gigantics games. Caillou, if you're interested. Radar Search was interesting. I was at an estate sale. The guy had 4 of them. I bought this one and took it home, and it will not work. I've tried everything. Should have grabbed one of the other ones. Lord of the Rings Monopoly. The Hound Cats, a little bit before my time, but still kind of cool to have. And some Ravensburger games, including Capone, which is in German. Here's a few expensive ones. So Hero Quest, it's actually a fun game. Worth the cost, in my opinion. Mutant Chronicles is also a really good game, and some Goosebumps ones. These are a family pastime. They were a Canadian company who made small little tabletop games, and these are really fun to collect. I have, as you can see, quite a few of them. They're usually cheap, and they all kind of play the same. Snowstorm's one of my favorites. Towards the bottom, a couple oversized ones, Rock Jocks and Highwire Harry, both good games. A few Milton Bradley games, including the getting hard to find Mystery Mansion. And Zaxxon's there as well. Back to the top, what a good game. It's Nightmare, essentially. G.I. Joe, another fun one to play. We had as kids. Bumper Cars is good too. The next row. Picnic Panic is actually a fun game to play. Space Jam's good. Raiders of the Lost Ark is very uncommon. I was quite surprised to see how expensive that game is actually going for. Not a great game to play, but collectible. Very bottom row here. Rescuers, Star Wars, GoBots, and then 3 Narnia games, which are very hard to find. I actually found all 3 at an estate sale, so nice to add those to the collection. And we end off with some card games. Milborn's we played that as kids with the family. It's still one of my favorite games today. Deer in the Headlights is fun. Jack Straws is a fun little game. Pit's fun. Exploding Kittens is really fun. And then I got some travel board games there, as well as Travel Catan and a Lord of the Rings Checkers. Unfortunately, as you can kind of see, I'm running out of room. There's room for maybe a few games up at the top there. And seeing as no more shelving can fit in this area, I'm going to have to make the tough decision of purging some of these games and moving them to my garage, and just keeping ones that I want as I continue to collect. But as anyone who collects board games knows, they're relatively inexpensive. As you can tell, a lot of mine still have their thrift store prices on them. And it's not because I want to leave them on there. Sometimes they just don't come off without ripping the label of the board game.